Oi oi people, Silky here, and you're listening to the Lifer Musician Podcast. A podcast exploring the minds of creatives who've dedicated their lives to pursuing a career in music. The Lifer Musician Podcast is brought to you by Hookins Management, my artist services company that empowers our fellow DIY musicians to grow a monetised fan base without a record label. We offer a range of services such as online marketing, artist mentorship, release campaign management, videography, photography, graphic and website design, plus tons more useful services that are built to cater for independent musicians on small, self-funded budgets. Helping musicians market and monetize their art form is our passion. So if you're an artist that needs help taking your career to the next level, please feel free to reach out and get in touch via hookinsmanagement.com, where you can book a video call with me for some free advice on your project. On today's episode, I'm joined by my bandmate and business partner, Jonny Top Kat Hick. Our band Death of Guitar Pop recently sold out our self-promoted headline show at 1500 cap London venue, the Electric Ballroom. This discussion is all about how we achieved this as a self-managed DIY band. We're hoping this will provide many valuable insights for our listener base of like-minded DIY musicians. So without further ado, let's get into it. Jonny Top Kat Hick.
Ollie Silky Hookins. How you
We
doing, mate?
went and bloody done it, mate. 1,500 tickets, Electric Ballroom.
1,500 tickets, mate. Yeah, not bad going for two chances from Brentwood.
Crazy. When we sat down to book it, we originally said, didn't we, like 1,000 1,000 tickets would be a great, well, I think 1,000 in there would be a great night. So 900 ticket sales and then like 100 guest list or whatever. And that would have been profitable and a good night in the ballroom, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so we were just coming off the back of our Pucker Sounds tour, weren't we? So we'd done, in November 21, we'd just done Underworld, didn't we? And sold that out. And then we'd done the Garage as part of the Pucker Sounds tour, and I think we'd pretty much sold that out. So we were like, between those two shows, we've done about 1,000 tickets.
Yeah.
Do we take the plunge and try and turn that into one big event?
Yeah.
And yeah, a little bit nervous at first, weren't we? So yeah, we did the rounds a little bit for all the 1,000 cap sort of venues that we thought would be suitable for us. So we looked at Brixton Electric, Coco, I think we looked at, but that was in repair still, I think, at the time. Theatre, I think we looked at as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ballroom's like, we're a ska band at the end of the day, so it only makes sense because it's a haunt of our old mate's madness, isn't it? So yeah, Ballroom was the one, weren't it, mate?
Yeah. I remember we were actually in the studio putting the finishing touches to Pucker Sounds, weren't we? Me, you and Mitch. And that was where we first spoke of the idea, and Mitch was like, that's got to be it. It's got to be Electric Ballroom next. But yeah, it was quite a leap really, wasn't it? Because the Underworld gig, that should have happened a year before?
Yeah, July 2020 or something.
Was that when it was originally booked for?
Something like that, yeah.
And then it happened in November.
And then it was going to happen in July 21, and then it happened in November 21.
Yeah, so COVID, because of COVID, it kept pushing the gig back. So we found ourselves in a position where we had that show, but then the Garage show, which was part of our regional tour the following March.
Yeah.
2 London shows quite close together, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we didn't actually sell the Garage out, did we? It was banged out, but I think we were about 30 or 40
short,
tickets shy.
Yeah.
I was at 50, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we're to go from 500 in Underworld, 550 in the Garage to step up and do a venue 3 times the size.
Yeah, it was
a big step, wasn't it?
It did feel like a big step as well, didn't it? But yeah, I mean, when we spoke about on this podcast before, when we've spoken about the Pucker Sounds tour, and we were trying to ram home how important budgeting was, we went to town, didn't we, on the details of the budget for this, and we knew that we could make it work and be profitable at about 800 ticket sales, didn't we? And still be a great show. So yeah, I mean, even then, it was still big. It was still going to be looking at 30k plus to put this show on and make it how we wanted it to be, wasn't it? So it's still a big step and obviously a little bit scary. But yeah, budgeting with like venue hire, VAT, PRS, like the merchandise, staffing, all those things. But what we did with the budget this time is we like put milestones in place for ourselves, didn't we? So we had like, 800 sales, we can take it this far. We know how much we can spend on marketing or whatever. And we had that marketing data from before, didn't we? That was like £5.32 per customer. It cost us to market to a customer for the tour. So we did have some good data from like doing it before, but obviously it was just scaling it up to a level that we hadn't done before. And we'd put like the milestones in place, so that once we got to 800 sales, we were like, oh, we can upgrade the production here, we can have more staff here. And it sort of went on like that, didn't it? Until, about Christmas time, was it? Just gone. We were just before Christmas, we hit the sort of 1,000 mark. Yeah. And we knew at that point, because of how we'd budgeted, that we could afford to, go a little bit to town on production. I.e. confetti cannons, which, I can't believe we ever imagined even without.
I felt like I was in fucking Coldplay up there, mate. Yeah. Confetti went off. Okay, let's talk about marketing then. I mean, that was just shy of $6,000. And I think, it's important to share that figure because I think it's useful information just in case anybody doesn't know, we self-promoted this show. So we hired the Electric Ballroom ourselves, ran all our own promotions, did all of our own ticketing, didn't we? Yeah. So we had like the lion's share of the ticketing allocation.
Yeah, we had 75% of the tickets.
75% through our Shopify, and then the rest was through Dice, was it?
Through Dice, yeah, I think.
Which is Dice, the ticketing company that the Ballroom got to deal with. But we hired it and very much took the show on as our own promoter. It was just shy of $6,000 in marketing costs,
which was actually slightly less than what we budgeted at, wasn't it? So that was quite interesting.
Yeah. Didn't we originally budget around 7 somewhere? Was it? Yeah,
it was like £5.30 per ticket, I think, was the final like marketing to each customer for the Pucker Sounds tour. Yeah, and this show was about £4.40. So that might be something that we can improve on in the future, whether that's better marketing, or whether the brand's bigger, or because the show was in isolation. There could be a number of different reasons for that.
I think it's probably all of the above, isn't it? in different ways. I think one thing that really helped was so a lot of the tour marketing that we'd done. So the tour was a year before the Ballroom, wasn't it? And that was our first ever like headline UK tour. We put London events on and like standalone events on in like Coventry, and just sort of testing the water in different cities. But we've still, like, to this day, I've only done that one headline tour so far, haven't we? And that was all self-promoted. So we still had a lot of growth to do at that point. And I think that obviously that extra spend per ticket sold, what we've got to remember is we've got those customers now, haven't we? So we've got all their data, we've got their email addresses, most of their phone numbers, postal addresses. So we were able to do the return path marketing and contact all those people that had bought tickets for the tour, some of which become customers for the first time on that tour. Yeah. So essentially it was cheaper to market to that big group of people the second time around. So I think that probably played a massive part in it as well, right?
And then how many customers have we gained for the first time with this show as well? Is that something that we're going to see snowballing as things go along? Yeah,
hopefully it'll just keep going down.
Be a nice thought, yeah.
Well, we was chatting about that though, weren't we? Like, you do get to a point as an artist where, obviously when we first, like, Underworld was a big leap for us because we went from, what was it, the Macbeth in East London, which is like 220 caps. So that Underworld was double the size of that. Yeah. I remember we had to spend a bit of money marketing that on ads and everything else. But now I feel like if we were to announce a standalone show at Camden Underworld, that would sell out really quickly. We wouldn't need to spend a lot of money on marketing at all. We wouldn't need to hammer ads out there to like a cold audience of music fans. I think with the customer base that we've built, There's 6,500 customers on our mailing list
it's an
now.
interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've got to convert. What would that be, like less than 10% of them, wouldn't you, to come to the London show? So I think that you just hopefully, as long as you keep delivering and putting on a great show, those costs do
as
continue
the customer
to go
base
down.
grows, you can it's really interesting, that, mate. So you get to the point where you're like Coldplay and you put Wembley Stadium on sale and it sells out in an hour or something like that.
What was it, Ed Sheeran done like 10 nights or something?
Something mental, yeah.
Wow, crazy. Yeah, so we hired the Electric Ballroom. When did we confirm that? When did we book that? Can you remember?
It'd have been around May time, I'd say. May time last year.
Because I thought it went on sale around May last year, didn't it? Because we did a crowdfunding in April launch.
Yeah.
I think the ballroom went on sale in May. So it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
Must have been April then, mate.
So we confirmed
3 to 4 weeks before it went on sale.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And we had to pay, was it a 50% higher deposit up front?
Yeah. So that was like a thing where, again, we've spoke about this before, but like doing our own ticketing, we sell ours through Shopify using a ticketing software called Guest Manager. And what's great about that is, so the show goes on sale as we're sort of confirming the venue. We try and make everything happen at pretty much the same time so that you haven't got all those upfront costs just crippling your business. You get a lot of upfront revenue as well. And what that does is, as I was saying with the milestones, that gives you then scope to put in place, special like production features, like, whether it's just a backdrop or whether it's a confetti cannon, or, you're putting staff in place. We also were running a VIP experience, and we knew that when we hit a certain milestone with those tickets, we needed to upgrade the VIP experience as well, because we were only allowed so many in the Electric Ballroom for so many hours. So that's something else we'll come on to later. And ended up adding an after party as well when we got to a certain milestone, because we knew that we had the money in the bank to go ahead and spend on those upfront costs. So that's like a massive advantage, isn't it, of doing your own ticketing and not waiting for Dice or Eventbrite or whatever company it is until after the show.
Yeah,
to be
because
paying your
it took about a week and a half to pay out Dice's allocation, isn't it?
Yeah, after the actual event. So we're talking of getting, upfront revenue 6-7 months, maybe longer in advance.
That's vital for like a small promoter like ourselves.
Because we've been seesawing with cash flow like the whole way, haven't we? It's like you sell some tickets, you spend the money on the next step to make the event better, then you have to sell the next lot of tickets. And we kind of worked like that, just to make sure that we never were overspending or we were going to be hit by a load of costs at the back end that we hadn't budgeted for in the first place. So and obviously when we put on like the VIP experience and the after party and stuff, having the customer data from the customers that bought those tickets through Shopify, we were then able to go back and, everyone who'd bought a ticket for Ballroom, we can send them an advert with, the after party on sale or whatever, which is obviously, a big advantage. And so that's like, we're big into that, aren't we?
Definitely, mate. And I think, something important to add to that, and this is something that we've just sort of recently come to light in our business, is now we've got like a profit and loss sheet for a big event like this and a tour that was profitable as well. What we're realizing as a small business is, even though it helps to get the cash flow in from the ticket sales in real time, it's still hard, isn't it? Because there's lots of other things that and lots of other overheads we have as a business. So, but now we've got a profit and loss for a tour that's profitable and a profit and loss for a big London show that's profitable. We're in a position now where we can take those profit and loss sheets and go to investors and show them what we're capable of as promoters. We've got like proven execution, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can go and get funding. And we're already, by not having like a a third party promoter or a booking agent taking a percentage out the middle, we're already earning more, profit than a band would that would usually play a show like the Electric Ballroom, because usually there's a promoter and a booking agent taking their slice as well. So we can go to an investor and afford to kind of cut them in from like a small percentage and show them that it can be done. Do you know what I mean? And get the funding up front for all the upfront costs.
Alleviates,
just helps
the
cash flow
on the business that comes from all those upfront costs.
But we've only learnt that through the grueling process.
And even the tour, like we had a really detailed P&L from the tour, but all sorts of costs cropped up throughout this process, didn't they? That you can't ever budget for like things that are going to happen in the future. Just random things crop up that you can't foresee. And with regards to the VIP experience, like we originally were going to sell 50 VIP tickets, and that's the ballroom were comfortable with that with regards to security and having people in the venue early in the day when there's loading and there's staff not working, or there's some staff that are trying to set up for the day. So in the end, we had to rent a different venue, hire a different venue, didn't we, with regards to Dingwalls? And I don't know if that's something to move on to now. So we kind of, once we realised, there's more VIP tickets to be sold here, there's more people that want this experience, we put another 50 of them on sale and, upgraded the experience basically so that we had a venue booked for the whole day, which doubled up as our after party venue as well, which was quite a clever thing to do. Really, it helps, cash flow wise again, because we only had one venue hire to cover and only 150% venue hire to cover. It was upgraded the experience for the customer, hopefully, and also took some pressure off us with regards to what we could do at the ballroom. And the VIP experience then became a lot more fruitful for us, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I mean, those VIPs, they're so this is interesting, actually. There was a lot of controversy recently about, is it Matt Healy from 1975? When he...
called it like icky or something.
Yeah, he was basically shitting on artists charging for meet and greets, and I could see what he was getting at, but what I don't think he was taking into account was the smaller DIY community and how much we rely on fans paying for experiences. Do you know what I mean? To help fund our tour. And I think although this wasn't made clear, and that's why there was a lot of controversy around it. I think what he was trying to get at was if you're, say for instance, Beyonce, you shouldn't be charging $4,000 for someone to come and have a photo with you. And I can kind of see his point there. But in the DIY community, where we're working with such small numbers, our fans understand that, and they want to financially support us as much as they can, and they want, and if we put on a good experience, they'll happily pay.
Absolutely, and it isn't just a case of us, just turning up and having a photo with someone. We like to make it an event within the event, don't we? Essentially, so people were getting there at 12:30 that day. That was when the event started, the VIP experience. There's a goodie bag with loads of exclusive merch items in there. There's food put on. There's drinks tokens available. Then we stand and have a chat with everybody, have a photo with everybody, which then gets sent to them, a professional photo, which then gets sent to them after the gig. And then we took everyone over to Electric Ballroom for a sound check viewing, and there was a bar open for 2 hours before doors. So we'd like to think that that's a really valuable experience that we're giving our customers, and also it's fruitful for us as well on the other side.
Everybody wins,
kind of mutually beneficial relationship between customer and our business.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that on the tour that we did last year, if we didn't sell those VIP packages for each show, we would have lost a lot of money on that tour.
Yeah,
and that
so
might have been the only tour we'd ever done then.
on the sort of, with our band especially, this is probably something else we'll come into, because it's a 10-piece ska band. It's like you just rack up a lot of costs with hotels and travel, etc. And on those 250 caps, it's really tight, isn't it? And so the VIP experiences can be the difference between profit and loss, basically, and whether you can do it again.
Yeah, and the fans absolutely loved them, don't they? And it isn't just
and we love them, don't we?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, for us, it's like there's nothing worse as a musician than like waiting round on gig day. You got all that nervous energy. Do you know what I mean? And it's just that's the worst part of being a musician for me. Just like waiting around with all this nervous energy and everything, and starting the day early with VIPs coming in and doing meet and greets and like making a bit of a performance at a sound check. You get that atmosphere like from early doors, and it kind of switches you on, and I love it personally. And I think it's important to point out, like you said, like that package that you described. It's not a fan paying 70 quid and then queuing up and having a quick photo and that's it. That's the meet and greet. Like we do a whole VIP package where there's like you say, merchandise,
an experience, for want of a better word.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've just got glowing reviews from the fan base, and they keep buying the VIPs every time they go on sale for new events. They're the quickest things to sell, aren't they? The highest price tickets.
Yeah. And so, with regards to that, so just to sort of try and explain this a little bit more clearly, so coming back to like the milestones we'd set ourselves in our budget, so we'd hit like 50 VIP tickets and realised that now we had cash to sort of upgrade that experience and make it available to more people who wanted it. And luckily, we sold pretty much all of the VIP tickets. So it upgraded the experience to begin at Dingwalls during the day. As I just mentioned there, everyone then went over to Electric Ballroom, had 2 hours in Electric Ballroom, watching the band sound check. The bar was open. People were very well behaved. And because I know I wouldn't have been. But and then watched the show. And then it went back to Dingwalls for the after party afterwards. And it's just sort of the point I'm trying to ram home is that we weren't reckless at any point, and we didn't just go, right, we need a great after party, let's give the VIPs exactly what they want, and let's have Electric Ballroom as well. Right, we're going to have venues, because we had venues in Camden for 14 hours that day, which is mad, really. But we didn't start out having venues for 14 hours. As we were hitting our milestones in regards to ticket sales and hitting our revenue targets, we then could move up to the next step and upgrade the show. Until we hit 1,000 tickets and got a confetti cannon, didn't we?
Greetings, listeners. Jake from Decent Mastering here. Really pleased to be involved with a podcast whose ethos aligns with my own, helping independent artists. My Pay What You Feel mastering service offers inclusivity to music creators with tighter budgets, giving quality audio at a price that suits them. To get in contact, send an email to decentmastering@gmail.com or send me a DM on Instagram @decentmastering. Enjoy the rest of the show.
I think something else we did a lot better on this show than we did on the tour, perhaps, was like the use of upsells on the e-commerce platform that we use, or Shopify. So once we had in place a VIP experience, an after party, we were offering discounts at checkout on after party tickets. You could upgrade your VIP to a VIP experience. And we've also got a chart campaign running at the moment as well, with an album called Be Lucky. And we're also offering discounted versions of that at checkout. And it's just another way of, increasing that upfront revenue. Obviously, again, you've got to keep an eye on your budget so that you don't spend all that revenue on, something stupid and not have it at the back end.
Like a confetti cannon.
Like a confetti cannon, yeah. But it can just alleviate that pressure that, when you first launch a show like this, because there's so many upfront costs, it can just alleviate the cash flow pressure to just increase, value of a customer at checkout. And I just thought we did that a little bit better than we learned from the Pucker Sounds tour. We didn't really take advantage of that, did we?
No, absolutely. I mean, like you say, it's if 1 in every 5 of the ticket buyers go for that upsell, then that drives your customer value up across the board, doesn't it? Your average customer value.
Like the ballroom, we did 1,500, so it's 1,400 tickets were sold, and there was 1,500 people in the venue, and then we had 400 people at the after party. So we were working at like nearly 1 in 4 or whatever was attending the after party. So it definitely worked. And again, that comes back to having the customer data. So at the point of, say, February, we'd sold, we probably had like 50 tickets left, didn't we? So about 70% of the capacity of the venue, we had the data for every single customer for 70% of the tickets, just the ones not the ones that Ballroom had, and the last remaining 5% to be sold. And so we had access to those people to hit them with like a MailChimp or whatever, send
text,
to sell the after party, and it worked really well because in those final weeks leading up to it, that was when we sold the most tickets, wasn't it, for the after party?
Yeah, I think it's important to point out as well that initially the idea of the after party was more to do with the fact that it was such an early curfew at the venue. So when you're hiring these gaffs on a Friday or Saturday night, most of them have a deal in place with a club night, like a regular club night.
Yeah, so like this Saturday at Ballroom was a 9:45 curfew. Which
was,
early, isn't it?
And a big motivator for doing a after party in the first place was just to keep the night running, because we felt like that was too early to finish. But in hindsight, we did doors at 6:00 and had no choice but to put the first support band Laurie on at 6:10, and you and I were fretting, weren't we, about it being empty in there for the supports, because that's such an early door time. But mate, it was fucking rammed early doors, wasn't it? By Laurie's like third song, it was like nearly capacity, and by the time the Bracknell were on, it was capacity. Yeah. So I actually, I'm sort of over that a little bit now. Do you know what I mean? If I'm sure we're always going to do after parties because it was a great experience for everybody, and it was a chance for us to make more money, so everybody wins. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't feel like we're shortchanging fans by finishing the night at 10:00 if it's starting at 6. I think people do, as long as you put the message out, well in advance that it's an early show and an early curfew, then people do turn up,
and we put
door
the
time.
extra funds into having a third act on the bill as well. I think with, you only got the venue for 3 hours and 45 minutes. So, and as a headliner, you want to be doing at least an hour and a half set. It doesn't leave a lot of time for the other bands. And it's, we sort of toyed with the idea of just having 2 support acts and DJs having a bit more time in between. But I'm very glad that we did like the 3 support acts, and hopefully we gave people, a lot of value for their 30 quid ticket.
Yeah, I mean, we've had great feedback, haven't we, about the supports?
Yeah.
I think another thing that's important to point out is our general admission price was 30 quid. Our early birds were 25.
Yeah.
I think for a band, of our size, that's actually like more expensive than the industry average. I think that a lot of bands are charging around 15-20 quid, that have got a similar size fan base to us, and we've not had any complaints about our ticket prices or anything, have we?
No.
Like, we've only had positive feedback, so I think that's important to...
I think that's because we're viewing it from like the, as a promoter rather than just Death of Guitar Pop playing. We're selling people an evening. It's like going back to what we were saying about the VIP thing. It isn't you're stood there with, Silky and Top Kat or whatever. It's like, this is a day's experience. This is a day out in London that, like, hopefully is like a memorable day for people they look forward to all year. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, hopefully it's the same with the event. We're viewing the event as a whole rather than just a chance for us to play to our fans.
Yeah,
it's, you know, 2 other great artists on there who pull big numbers themselves. Like the Bracknell have just sold out the Underworld, haven't they? And are on their way, sold out their tour around the UK. So like, they're big artists who pull big numbers themselves, and we could get, you know, a 50 quid support act to play an acoustic set. But it felt important to us because we built up to this event for, you know, 15 years or whatever, haven't we? Ever since we've been in music. Probably longer for you, mate, no offense. We built up for so long that it felt like we wanted to have a special event, you know, that we felt proud of, not just our set. It was feeling proud of the overall event, wasn't it? And yeah, being a part of every sort of nook and cranny that went on that day.
Definitely. And I think we've always sort of seen the value in what we do. I mean, that was a 10-piece band, wasn't it, we had on stage?
Yeah.
Production, like the confetti cannon. How many times we're going to mention that in this podcast? Still not over it.
No, I'm not. Felt like Elton up.
Yeah, like it's a big production. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
And so, yeah, and like you say, with 2 quality supports, you know, I think that 25, 30 quid a ticket is more than fair in this current climate.
Well, in order to put on an event like that, it has to be that price. It does. Unfortunately,
yeah, we'd have really struggled, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
if tickets were any cheaper.
But yeah, so it's it's an interesting one. But yeah, I think that's like we were viewing it through a promoter's lens the whole time, rather than Death of Guitar Pops. Weren't we really? We were seeing it as an event rather than just another gig for us. Yeah, mate. And just another thing with the ticketing as well was just that was another sort of thing we did with regards to the support acts, didn't we? So we actually incentivized the support acts, didn't we, by giving them a link to our website and paying them per ticket sale a percentage.
Yeah. And
that was another way that we were getting customer data from both Laurie and Bracknell's fans, and all the tickets that their fans were buying. We were receiving that customer data, and therefore we were able again to sell the after party to them, etc., etc. So yeah, that was another bonus for us, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it worked out that they got paid like more than your average support would. Yeah, because you know they both sold like a decent amount of tickets off their own back, so they were fairly compensated for that.
Yeah, blinded, mate. Yeah, so next one I thought, Silks, was the difference in staffing compared to anything we'd done before.
So staffing bill was about $5,000, wasn't it? In staffing.
It was a lot, mate. Yeah, I think it was like the third highest, one of the third highest cost on the whole show.
Yeah,
was the staffing bill. But obviously we had a wonderful team. But from mine and Silk's point of view, it was really different to anything we've done before because, you know, this is our baby, innit? And we can tend to micromanage people a little bit, but with a, you know, exercise of this size, it was pretty impossible for us to do so, weren't it? So I think in the end we had about 35 people, including the bands. There was 35, 40 people working for Death of Guitar Pop that night, which was, you know, it was incredible. But obviously it's quite difficult to handle it all. So we sort of split the staffing into sort of subgroups, didn't we? So we had like a merchandise team, we had a sound team, we had a videography team, had a high standard of promoter rep in, didn't we? In Rishi.
We did, yeah.
Production team, and then we had Bonds, as always, managing the logistics and making sure everyone was where they needed to be on time.
Serves him right for being a bass player.
Exactly. What do you expect? So the way we managed that was, we got each sort of leader of each sub team in for a briefing beforehand, didn't we? And give them like a strict schedule for the day. And they all did very well, actually, didn't they?
Yeah, smashed it out of the park. Yeah, I mean, we had 5 merch sellers, didn't we?
Yeah.
My brother and 4 of his mates. My brother's got experience in selling merchandise on the road. And I was thinking, is that excessive? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we needed them, you know, to the point where we'd arranged for when the venue was spilling out after the show, for two of them to jump on the door and flyer for the tour and the fan club. But they weren't able to get there because they were so rushed on the merch. They needed all hands on deck.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that we, like, had the foresight to book more staff.
Absolutely, mate.
Because usually it's like one or two mates helping out.
With like merchandise, for example, like all these little things are so important to independent bands, and like merchandise can be, again, we noticed this on the tour, obviously less so with this show, but because of the amount of tickets that we sold, but it can be the difference between making money and not making money into merch sales. Yeah. And luckily the Ballroom is a venue that doesn't, it just charges you a flat rate for a merch selling space, which was, minimal. It's like 150 quid or something. Whereas a lot of venues at that size, this is something else that's been quite controversial lately, isn't it? With, the O2 academies and stuff like that. They're charging like a 25% commission to artists to sell their own merch. Yeah, and
you have to use their staff, which is, I guess, partly how they justify that. But that if you've got your own team, they're going to be pushing it more invested.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's a conversation for another day, but that's an interesting road. And that's, again, like we're just coming to a point now where we're looking at, 2,000 plus venues. And you're seeing these additional costs creep in, aren't we? And we're sort of thinking, well, there is, a sort of point of wisdom to say that it might be better just to rinse and repeat and do Ballroom again. We understand the venue, but there's also, you want to sort of continue your upward trajectory, don't you?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. I mean, we have looked, haven't we, at 2,000 caps and done the figures on it and seen that actually you make the same profit selling out a 1,500 cap Ballroom as you do a 2,000 cap venue. So but then there's the magnitude of like, moving up to the next iconic venue and the name that comes with that. So it's a bit of a trade-off, isn't it, at this stage in our career?
Mate. Yeah. But it's quite an interesting conversation, the whole merch selling thing, because it, as you say, for a lot of independent bands, I mean, there's been stuff in the media lately, isn't there, where bands have literally been setting up merch stalls in the pub across the road because they're just not having it. And some venues are charging so much in commission that it's wiping out the band's profit anyway. So it's costing them money to sell their merch.
Mate, I've heard of like 40% commission. Yeah. If that band's paying VAT as well.
Yeah, it seems excessive.
It's fucking 60% of your gross takings. Like you're just handing over straight away. It's a tough one. But I think going back to having the 5 team members all selling merch, one thing that we should mention as well is, in comparison to our show at the Garage, which was 550 odd tickets, we did 10 times the amount of merch income at Electric Ballroom than we did at the Garage. And the Garage was just a couple of mates helping out, and they did a great job, but it wasn't really this licked, well thought out operation.
So the Garage worked out about £1 per customer in terms of what we were making from merchandise, where we were nearly up at £4 per customer for Ballroom. So it definitely makes a huge difference. And I think another thing that's probably a good thing to do, I mean, we've learned from the Pucker Sounds tour, with a lot of the merch we got made for that tour, it was very similar to merch that we'd just released the album 6 months before, and our tour t-shirts looked exactly the same as the album t-shirts. So people were coming in looking at them. So what we did this time was, and this is another upfront cost, but I think it's certainly something that works well at the back end, is we created a lot of exclusive merch that was specifically for this event. And we're going to do the same for the tour, aren't we? But one that doesn't look like the album cover, because it kind of defeats the object. But having the staff in place, like a promoter rep on the day as well, like having a having Rishi working that made a big difference to us as well, didn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And Rishi's so experienced. I mean, he works for Gorillaz, Blur, and all the big London
Ronnie
venues.
Wood and
yeah. He's just like so experienced, and we're not. Do you know what I mean? This is all like new territory to us, isn't it?
And we're sound checking at the same time.
Yeah,
so,
And
that's how we've been running it before. Is that we've been doing the meet and greet with the VIPs, then running over to the merch desk, and then going and sound checking, and then making sure that the sound engineer's got a mix and all these things. Whereas, we realised that we've hit. This is like been a milestone, hasn't it, for us, where we can't continue like that.
Yeah, I mean, what I have learned is we definitely need some kind of like guitar tech person on stage, because there was an incident during It Must Be Love. You were off stage, and I walked over to your side of the stage, and my mic lead brushed over your can of Stella.
Yeah, which has only got water in, by the way. It's just a prop.
There was this river of Stella just like flooding out towards your pedal board, and there's fucking 1,500 people like watching the gig. And I'm like, no one's fucking seen like that there's this spillage on stage, so I thought I better clean this fucking Stella up. So I'm like singing It Must Be Love, and I've grabbed one of the horn section. Our horn section, for those that don't know, wear capes. They're flamboyant bunch. I just grabbed one of the
glam rock more than ska, really.
I grabbed one of the capes and just was mopping up this Stella whilst like singing It Must Be Love. It was fucking, I mean, that's fucking DIY, right?
You never see Alex Turner doing that, do you?
But no, it's mad to be doing all of that. To be promoter, agent, marketer, like the artist, and everything in between. Do you know what I mean? And managing the day. You got to hold your nerve at times, haven't you?
You've got to hold your nerve, and like the whole day you're waiting for something to go wrong, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, as bad as it sounds, if you organise the shit out of it during the week, and we felt like we had great team leaders in place, like Sam, Bonsai, Rishi, Brad, and
questionable.
Yeah, no, but we did, didn't we? But you're still waiting for the phone call while you're over in Dingwalls, like eating pizza with a fan, during the meet and greet. You're still waiting for someone to go, the confetti can hasn't turned up, or the support band, their van's broken down. We haven't got, all these like horrendous things that can happen.
Yeah.
The one that always gets me, and that really does, get me down, is ticketing software. Like I'm always waiting for the ticketing software to go wrong.
Yeah.
And
that's your baby as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So I know it lands on my shoulders.
Yeah.
But I'm always waiting for like to be sat up in the room 10 minutes before we go on, or whatever, 10 minutes before doors, and the bloke on the door or the girl on the door to go, the scanners aren't working. What's wrong with your tickets? You know what I mean? And if that happens at 1,500, luckily, because I had Rishi to talk to during the week, we'd come up with a fail safe and.
Which we didn't have to use, did we?
That we didn't have to use, no. But
that's mad how all that works as well, isn't it? So we have like a software that's part of Shopify, isn't it? It's like an add-on.
Yeah, so it's called Event Ticketing, run by a program called Guest Manager, and then you download an app called Event Ticketing. Is the app called Event Ticketing? Yeah, on your phone or iPad or whatever, and you scan. So we normally have our own people scanning the tickets on door, because the guest manager then relays back to you how many people turned up, etc., and it's sometimes more reliable than the venue, debatably. But with this amount of tickets, we didn't feel fully comfortable with giving Electric Ballroom's door staff 20 minutes before 1,500 fans are turning up my iPhone or whatever. It's not that DIY, to be fair. I'm pushing it a little bit there. It has been my iPhone before. My iPhone got locked in the ticket office at Underworld. I had to wait for about an hour after to get it back.
I'm pretty sure at Underworld it was your phone on the door scanning tickets, and mine with the sum up on the merch desk.
God, we've moved on quite a bit in 18 months, to be fair, haven't we? But Guest Manager, and if you're using any other software like that links to the e-commerce platform that you're using rather than Dice or Eventbrite or whatever, there is like a back-end use where you can export all your barcodes to the venue. They upload them onto their scanners like as late as sort of an hour before doors. So I think it's Sauron who's running the ballroom that day. And yeah, the last export of barcodes would have been like 2 hours before doors, about 4 o'clock. Yeah, and having that fail safe, then, you know, it's the venue's fault if someone can't get in. But obviously it'd be really distressing anyway.
Yeah.
But the venue scanners have then got your barcodes, and hopefully everything should be fine after that.
But yeah, it's a lot of extra stress as an artist, and to be worrying about all this shit. It's like the last thing you're worrying about is your fucking performance, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Think about
in a way, it's probably quite good.
Yeah, I reckon
because it takes your mind off.
We do think that, don't we?
Yeah,
it's like the VIP thing, isn't it? Without, you know, having to work. Otherwise, you're just pacing in a dressing room, aren't you, for 6 hours beforehand?
I must admit, I wasn't like, I'm always 50-50 as to like whether I'm going to be nervous or not. Shows, I can't really call it. You either are or you aren't on the day. But I do still get really nervous. And then sometimes I skip the offside trap and I'm fine. And the day of the ballroom, I didn't feel like that. I felt like fine. I wasn't nervous about my performance, but I think it was because I was so preoccupied with all the things that we had to organise. And then when we walked out and I saw that fucking sea of people, I was like, oh, fuck me, here we go.
Yeah.
Normally I've got
to sing a song now, haven't I?
What was it you said, Brad? It's like pressing play. Like once you're on, you're fine. This was a little bit different for me. Like it took me the first song to like acclimatise and go, whoa, okay, never seen this amount of people at one of our shows. And I think, like I say, it's because all day we'd been so preoccupied with organising.
Hadn't even seen the audience until we got on stage. We couldn't really see from side
stage where we were watching Laurie and Bracknell. We didn't really have a proper view, did we? So when we walked out, I was like, fuck you know, this is mad. Still trying to process that now.
Yeah, I haven't really thought back about it. I can't remember the performance. That might have been because I was drowning in Stella that someone had spilled everywhere. Water, yeah. So I mean, on the marketing side of things, which is more my domain, how that the main things we did to market this show was we had what we call warm audience ads, which are ads on Facebook and Instagram that retarget people that have previously engaged with our social media pages. Yeah. So we had ads going out to the warm audience. There was this like trailer ad, which was just clips of us playing live and more kind of professional live footage looking ad. But then there was call to action ads as well. So we filmed something outside the Electric Ballroom for the announcement, didn't we? And then as the tickets were sort of running low, I'd literally just record an ad on my iPhone and say we've got 200 tickets left. You know what I mean? And so the warm audience ads, was a mixture of like a professional looking like show reel of live footage and more sort of candid like call to action ads. But the professional live footage show reel, we ran that as a cold ad to sort of fans of the ska genre in general, targeting bands like Madness, Specials, The Beat. So it was basically running like what our fan finder normally runs, that sort of targeting, wasn't it, essentially? Exactly,
yeah. And I'm not sure exactly how much of so actually the exact figure on marketing, let me just get that one because I think that's important to share. It wasn't quite 6K that I said.
So it's 5,643 we finished at.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly how much of that was cold audience and how much was warm, but it was probably around half and half. What we've found to be beneficial, this is something new that we've unlocked fairly recently, is the cold audience ads also double up as like fan growth ads. So we're targeting the fan bases of Madness, Specials, Bad Manners, etc. And we're selling tickets to brand new people that just like that genre of music and see the ad and are sold and will come to a gig based on seeing that one ad. But then people that are newly introduced through those ads that might not buy a ticket straight away for 30 quid, they're then going and searching our music on Spotify or whatever, you know, or buying like a free plus shipping CD off of us. So I think it's a great way to sell tickets but also grow your fan base at the same time. Those cold audience
we
ads.
feel like we're killing two birds with one stone a little bit with it, don't we?
Yeah, I think it's been like a big level up in the marketing for us, that because you're recouping as well as you're spending. Do you know what I mean? Because you're selling tickets at £30 a time, and that's helping recoup costs. Marketing costs, but then you're also introducing your music to loads of new people every day, and even if like in one day only 1 or 2 people buy tickets, there might be 20 or 30 new people that are introduced to the band that will buy tickets to another show later down the line.
And that's something we're gonna hit hard with the Be Lucky tour ads, isn't it, as well? And then we've got the specifics of geography and coming into that as well, and having a different cold ad going to each area of the country.
Each area. So I should explain that actually. So it's usually like the city that we're playing in plus like a 30-mile radius, and the fan bases of bands that are similar genre to us. That's the basic principles of the targeting, and that works really well. Other things that were really important were email marketing, text marketing. I don't think we did post marketing on the ballroom in the end, did we?
No,
because that's expensive.
It is.
Upfront costs are quite big on that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because we've got like a UK customer base of about 6,500 people now. Or maybe it's just shy of that. Actually, I think it's 6,500 overall. So it's probably like 5,500 in the UK. That's a lot of postcards to send out, and it's a lot of upfront costs. And when we did that for the album campaign, it was worth it, wasn't it? Because
we kind of bit the bullet on it a little bit as well, didn't we, with regards to profit and stuff like that? Because we wanted to get this album across the line and up the charts essentially. So but with this, it was a little bit more of a profit-based project, wasn't it? So
and it's interesting you should say that, because I think this is another thing that we're learning quite recently. In the fallout from this, and with our next album release coming up in probably October, that's coming out now, isn't it? We launched the crowdfunding last April, so it's been quite a long process. We've got all these elements of our business, so there's like 6 kind of main like income streams, and they're all sort of different like projects within our business. And you've got the tour, which is profitable, and you can kind of grow your fan base through the marketing that's profitable within that model. It's the same with the standalone London event, which is something that we're going to keep trying to grow every year, isn't it? Separate from the tour. So that the London event is going to be...
They're normally sort of 6 months apart, aren't they?
So we're looking at like April for a London event, and then a tour in like October and November.
So they're kind of supposed to like bookend festival season, aren't they?
And touch wood, that's working really well, and both the London event and the tour we've discovered are profitable. I mean, the first tour wasn't like hugely profitable, but we can see that, you know, with the numbers that we're probably going to hit this time, it's going to start to become
up
like
quite nicely.
Good. And then you've got Fan Club, which is like pay monthly subscriptions. A lot of that is just selling exclusive content, so it only costs us our time. There's not many like physical products that we have to pay for up front. Merchandise, we've sort of figured out this rhythm where you can put something on pre-order and the fans will pre-order it, and that will finance the production of the merchandise. But the album projects aren't that profitable, are they? It's you're sort of barely breaking even by the time you've come out the other side of it, but it's great content.
And especially with the back end of the Pucker Sounds campaign, because we knew we were in the right ballpark, didn't we, to make the top 40. In the end, it ended up doing a lot better than that, but the initial aim was to get top 40, and once we knew we were in the right ballpark, we were like, let's just bite the bullet here with regards to profit and get this over the line.
Those elements that I've just mentioned, we've figured out now that they're all different, like profitable aspects to our business. Whereas the album projects, like the crowdfunding, we don't lose money on those, but it's hard to make profit. And for the work that goes into making the album and fulfilling the album and the crowdfunding campaign, it's a huge project, isn't it? So that's another thing we're learning. Like, I feel like the album...
Freaking out in the studio for about 6 months.
Just painting over snare sounds.
But
you they're important because obviously they're a massive part of your narrative as an artist and your content, like your back catalogue. 4 albums under our belt nearly now. By the end of the year there'll be 4 albums out there. But yeah, the work that goes in, like, versus the profit that comes in, they're more really just about marketing and growth, and the albums then put you on, like, they give you the platform to then make money in all those other areas that are described. And that's something that we're only really just learning, isn't it? Because
from doing it, isn't it, essentially? That's the only way to learn about these things. And like, again, we said, didn't we, like 2 weeks after the ballroom, wish we were doing it now, because there's so many things we'd do differently and all that sort of thing, but you can't think like that. But I think it does come down to, like, sort of incentivizing artists to just go out and do it, and learn what your customer base are like, learn about their behavior, because that's the only way you can learn about them, really. There's, like, that's your ultimate market research, is them turning up to your gig.
Absolutely.
My kind of, like, conclusion, mate, on Electric Ballroom was, like, we managed to pay ourselves as consultants throughout the sort of process. So we were working for Deaf Guitar Pop for a wage, and we managed to pay ourselves, enough, and still make it a healthy profit, I would say, for the show. And I think, like, the sort of essentials to that are, like, budgeting accurately, but budgeting honesty as well. Like, honesty in your budgeting. Like, it's so easy to, like, think, God, we're going to sell 1,500 tickets at 30 quid each. All right, that's nearly 50 grand. All right, sweet. Yeah, we can just do what we want. But it doesn't work like that. And I think having those milestones in place and hitting, like, every time we hit a beat, we were like, all right, now we can go and do this, this and this, because we know we can cover it at the back end. I think that was, like, the secret to the sort of success of the show, really, weren't it?
Yeah, we were, like, very, very cautious, weren't we, from the start?
Like, the column didn't go green until that ticket had been sold, did it?
It was like, we were really, really frugal and conservative with our budgets and everything, without, like, being, you've obviously got to have a go and take a fucking risk. It was well ballsy, but it was a very calculated risk. And as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, when we sat down originally, we said 1,000 people in there, 900 tickets, 100 guests. Like, that was what we expected to do. So maybe there's something in that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we ended up selling the venue out in the end, and it's a 1,500 cap. So maybe there was something in that approach, that served us well this time. I know in the past we've probably been, like, a little bit over ambitious, which has served us,
and like served the us well in Sounds ways. Tour as well, where that was the profit margins on that were, like, so much tighter. And obviously there's smaller venues, and we're carting a 10-piece band around the country, so the costs are a lot bigger. But we were probably, like, a little bit overly ballsy with regards to marketing and stuff like that, weren't we? We probably looked back on it and thought, we might have overspent. We'd sort of maybe panicked at the end a little bit, because we wanted to make sure the venues were full. We could have held off in certain places, but
I mean, there was a point in the lead up to that Pucker Sounds tour where we sacrificed paying ourselves completely, didn't we, for a few months? And just any spare income we had just threw into marketing. And I'm not sure, again, that there's a good argument to say that perhaps that's why our cost per ticket sale was so much higher than the ballroom. Because, we just wanted to sell as many tickets as possible, and we figured the more we spend on advertising, the more tickets we'll sell. But,
but it comes back to that debate that we've been having, isn't it, of, like, how far are we into, like, the growth period of this business, this band? Like, if we hadn't have done that then, would we have had to have done it now on Electric Ballroom? So
that's true.
We've had, like, that growth mindset for, like, a bit of a wanky term, but still we've had that growth mindset, like, the whole time with Deaf Guitar Pop, and we've sacrificed, like, profit and paying ourselves a lot of the time to try and grow it as quickly as possible. And for the first time with the ballroom, we just took a little bit more of a cautious approach. And
managed to pay ourselves.
Managed to pay ourselves.
Sell it out.
And make some money.
I think that's a great place to conclude, my friend. Nice one, mate.
Thank you, mate. Always a pleasure.
Next stop, Shepherd's Bush.
Next stop, Shepherd's Bush.